Hello, everyone. This is Lace. Love Applied Can Endure Video Club. We're about to start in just a few minutes. We're letting those that are in other time zones get an opportunity to log in, and we will be starting in about 2 minutes. Okay, I'll bring up the PowerPoint, and we will be ready to start in another minute. Okay, we are ready to get started. This is Lace. Love Applied Can Endure. This is a video club that we talk about subjects that we apply love to, and all of it is very rewarding. Our discussion tonight is from my book, Winning Battles with Love. And you can get this on Barnes and Nobles. If you desire to get the book, you will get more details than what we will be discussing here. But I encourage you to watch all of this and watch it again, over again, and get the book and follow through, because you will find that you will win battles when you love. You will win battles. As always, if you want to reach me, you can do that by writing to me at Dr. C.V. White, LLC, at 150 Post Office Road, Suite 1027 in Waldorf, Maryland, 20604. Or you can email me at drcvwhite@gmail.com. That's drcvwhite@gmail.com. Or visit my website at cvwhite.com. I have a lot of free information on there, and you can also purchase my books on the website. So we're talking about winning battles with love. We've already given the secular definition of love. We've given the biblical definition of love, and that's the one we're talking about, unconditional love. And we've talked about those that use love, and love works for you. Love does something. And we talked about what love does and what it did for two people. We talked about what it did for Daniel and what it did for Joseph. And then we talked about a person who did not love and lost everything, and that was Cain. So we talked about those three things. Tonight we're talking about, in this portion of Winning Battles with Love, we're talking about positioning yourself to win. Positioning yourself to win. And it's very important that we position ourselves to win. It's easy for us to say that we love people and that we are doing what we are supposed to be doing, and we just step out there with that understanding. But we're going to really look at that a little closer tonight, about how do you practically do that? How do you do that? What's the practical application of that? You know, we talk a lot about how we love people and that we do love people, and we have put that on our agenda to do, but it attacks us in subtle ways where we're actually participating in not loving people and not really knowing. And what that looks like practically when we're talking about how to get this done. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight, how to get this done. We're going to go through 8 keys of how to get this done, and we're going to find out what we need to do to get this working in our life, to get this working. And so we're excited about sharing this, because this is, it's easy enough for people to tell you that what you should do. And when you read in the Bible and you know what you should do and you understand what Jesus has said to do, but how do you do it if you've never seen it? If you don't have any points of reference, how do you do that? And so as much as you want to do it, it's sometimes difficult to do because you don't have any points of reference. And so that's really important to understand. So let's get started. Let's get started here. Positioning to win battles. And that's what we're going to talk about that on tonight. And we obviously are not going to finish it because we only have an hour. Last time we went over a few minutes, so we don't want to do that on tonight. We're going to do half of it tonight and half of it next week. So let's just get started with this and talk about positioning to win battles. And we do that in our everyday life. We do that in our everyday life. We position to win battles. How did Daniel do it? How did Joseph do it? We know they did it, but how? That's what we'll be discussing, the practical ways that we can accomplish this and get a better understanding of how we may be doing this unknowingly because we can't connect it with what we do every day. So we're going to be talking about that in those 8 keys that you can use, those 8 action keys that you can use. We will be discussing those tonight because we do realize it's hard. It's hard to love people that are hurting you. It's really hard to love people that are hurting you. So you have to really, on purpose, understand what you have to do to continue to love them or even to begin to love them. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, some practical things. So let's just jump right into this. The first part of understanding the importance of applying love to every battle is to realize that no matter what we do or say, nothing will position us to win except love. We must be in a position to win. We can, if we choose, position ourselves to lose. We can do that. Position ourselves to get things done is not a strange concept to us. It is just like filling out an application and forms, for example. When we start any kind of school, at any age level, we must apply or fill out forms. That act of positioning yourself to get what you are trying to get done. So that's what we're talking about, positioning ourselves to love. And again, let's just review this one more time. Hi, Inez, welcome. Let's review this one more time. What we're talking about is how do you actually love like Daniel did and Joseph did. We know the principles of love, but we're going to talk tonight about practical things that we're doing and that we may be doing when we're not loving people when we think we are, and practical applications of how to love them. And as I said when we started out, we're going to discuss 8 keys of action items that will help us understand how to get this done. As I said before, we know we should do it. We know what love is. We've studied that intensively. But how do you do it? If you don't see people doing it on a regular basis, if you don't have anybody talking to you about how to get it done, or I don't have anybody showing me how, and that's what had to happen for me. When I started to love people, I needed an example. Because I didn't have any point of reference. And I asked the Lord, and He gave me someone that showed me how to do that. And so now I'm able to apply as much of it as I can in my personal life every day. So we're talking about, choosing to love. And I think that most people will choose to love, but then how do you get it done? How do you get it done? And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight, how to get it done in our everyday life. And that's what is supposed to happen. We must position ourselves, and we position ourselves to get it to win. We must position ourselves for love to work for us. And we're going to talk about that. That's what we're talking about. We must position ourselves to do anything. As I said before, if we want to take a trip, we must position ourselves about purchasing a ticket for transportation on a plane or train or bus or whatever we're going to do, or get a vehicle that's ready so that we plan to drive if that's what we want to do. Losing is not an option for those who understand the principle of love and how to apply it in their everyday practical life. We must first consider what battles are. We're talking about winning battles with love. So we must first consider what battles are and understand that we go into some kind of battle every single day of our life. We operate in some kind of battle. And we're going to discuss that a minute before we get into these 8 keys. We're going to find out what the battles are. Battles are not just physical or verbally fighting. Definition of battle covers many areas of our lives that we have not considered battles. A battle is a hostile encounter with another person or a group of people, but it can also be an encounter to fight against something or for something. It could be you're fighting for a cause. You're fighting for a cause. That's a battle. You're fighting for freedom. You're fighting for court. You got a court trial coming up. And maybe it's just your beliefs. But whatever it is, when you start working on it to win, you're fighting for something. That's a battle. So a battle is also tangible and useful in fighting for social and professional positions, job security, health issues, getting rid of sickness, political campaigns, successful living, any person, place, or thing that could be considered an enemy, or any situation that you desire to change or make better, or just to get rid of worst cases. Just to name a few. So in our everyday life, we have battles, and we have to use love to win those battles. So that's what we're talking about now. We're talking about that. We're trying to really understand what battles are before we get really hard into this. So let me give you the dictionary.com definition of battles, and then we'll go on to the next slide after this. I'm just going to read these. It's a hostile encounter or okay, what did I do? I did something here. It's a hostile encounter or engagement between opposing military forces. The Battle of Waterloo, for example. Participation in such hostile encounters or engagements, the wounds that we receive in battles. And we are wounded in a lot of different places because we have had many battles in our childhood, and we weren't equipped. We weren't equipped to fight. And so we ended up with a lot of different wounds, a lot of different things. We're wounded from rejection. We're wounded from abandonment. We're wounded from all kinds of things that we have encountered in our life. And so those were battles that we were fighting. So now we're preparing ourselves to win every time we have to do that. A fight between two people or animals, ordering a trial by battle to settle a dispute, any conflict or struggle, a battle for control of the Senate, to engage in battle, ready to battle with the enemy, to work very hard or struggle, strive, to battle for freedom, to fight a person, army, or a cause, we battle strong winds and heavy rain in our small boat. And that is an example of what we're talking about. Just life situations. They're not necessarily you fighting with somebody, but you are in a battle. To force or accomplish by fighting, struggling. He battled his way to the top of his profession. Okay, so that is a battle. When we're talking about, he's talking about his job, getting to the top of his profession. It wasn't a physical fight or a verbal fight with anybody. It was just a battle that he was fighting to get to the top of his position. And number 9, to give, to do battle, to enter into conflict, to fight. He was ready to do battle for his beliefs. Okay, so you this is doing a battle for things you believe. And number 10, the synonyms for battle is contest, conflict, war, battle, action. Skirmish means a conflict between organized army forces. So that is the dictionary.com definition for battle. So we want to understand that. So now we want to move on to the next slide. Shantice, are you on yet? Are you on, Shantice? Can you read?
Yes, I can read.
Okay. Can you read this slide, please?
Positioning to win battles. It is important to understand that no matter what you do or say, no matter how much you sacrifice, no matter how you apply knowledge and experience to situations, no matter how eloquently you can speak, no matter how much you can understand difficult things, and no matter how much you personally accomplish, you cannot win without the attributes of love attached. If you try to fight the battle without love, you are just making noise. You will not be in a position of influence, nor will any of those things assist you, be of any use, or be advantageous or profitable in your efforts to win the battle.
Okay, so in all of those giftings and all the things you've learned, you've been to school, or you haven't been to school, or you've learned a skill, or you have a position, or you own a business, whatever it is, you have to use love as a part of that, whatever, however you're operating, it's an attribute that must be used in the battles that you fight. And we're talking about the fact that we fight battles every day in our life, in every area of our life, because we've just spent a lot of time defining what battles are. Let me just before we move on to these 8 action keys that will help you, let me just explain one more time a little bit about battles that happen every day in your life. Now, there are battles that happen every day, and love has to be attached. But there are also battles that happen once in a while. They don't happen every day, but there is a battle. And there are also battles that's once in a lifetime. You might do this once in your life and never again. But there are things that we have to do every day, and those things many of them have battles attached to them. Okay, so if you can enter a battle against something like burdens or yokes or strife or arguments or disappointments or misunderstanding, or you can enter a battle for things like hope, like dreams, like the desires of your heart, your visions, your missions, your goals and your plans. So those are, it just depends. And so those things are happening every day in your life. And winning battles with love is not just fighting, physically fighting and verbally fighting with somebody. It is you being in a struggle with something that's working against you, or you being in a struggle to bring forth something that works for you. And it's very interesting that we don't pay much attention to that. But when in my book, Winning Battles with Love, we're not just talking about fighting with people and negative information. We're talking about whatever you're up against, whether it's negative or positive, it's a battle, and you win that with love. And so now we're going to talk about practically, how do you do that? How did Daniel do it? How did Joseph do it? We saw that they did it. But what it didn't, the scripture didn't say how they did it. So that's what we're talking about. Those practical things in our life that we sometimes think that we're operating in love and we're not, because we don't understand the dynamics of these battles and what they mean. And sometimes we are operating in love and we don't know that we are. And so either one of those may be what you can relate to. But there's 8 keys, and we're going to talk about these 8 keys, and we're going to talk about them in practical ways where you can identify with them in your personal life, in my personal life. So let's okay, can you read this one, Sean?
When you do not understand how to apply love, or that you should employ love to work on your behalf, burdens, yokes, arguments, strifes, disappointments, rejections, and misunderstanding, to name a few, are formed. How do you employ love on your behalf? Follow the following directions below, because these actions are actions of love. Number one.
Key number 1. Okay, go ahead.
The first thing you have to do is to humble yourself to a position of apparent loss. By that I mean always give the other person the upper hand. To employ love in this area, you have to be completely patient. Some people say that they have patience, but they have a short fuse. That is not patience. That is partly patient, not completely patient. Not to lose heart because of the trouble that is at hand. Persevere patiently and bravely in enduring misfortunes and troubles. Be patient in bearing the offenses and injuries of others. Be mild and slow in avenging. Be long-suffering with them. Be slow to anger and be slow to punish for mistakes and errors.
Okay, and that's be slow to punish yourself too for mistakes and errors. But yeah, what this key is giving the other person the upper hand. You know, when we're being patient and giving the person the upper hand, we can bear their offenses. We do not receive offense. We do not receive offense when we give the other person the upper hand. So it's really hard. Like I said from the beginning, it's really hard to love people that are hurting you. It really is. And so you really have to have some understanding of what that looks like and how you should move forward with that. You know, be slow to anger. When you say slow to anger, slow to punish mistakes, yours or other people. So what you have to do is you have to say the word of God when you get ready to do something like that. You know, you have to say the word of God. Jesus said for me to love you, no matter what you're doing to me, and for me to trust him and not put my trust in you. I'm trusting him and I'm loving you so that I can get this solved and so that I can get help for you. Because one of the things is that hurts us mostly is that even though we say we love people, but when they do things, that hurt us, you know, we have to really deal with that. And we deal with it and mostly protect myself from, or I shouldn't have to deal with this, or this person just it's just totally inconsiderate, and their words don't match what they do. All of this kind of stuff, and it was very difficult going through this kind of stuff when I came to the point where I told the Lord I want to love people, and I began to try to do it. Let me tell you, one of the greatest challenges I had was to humble myself and put myself in a position of loss and a parent. Because see, I'm not losing, but it feels like you're losing, when people are doing stuff against you, and they're doing stuff to hurt you, and they're doing stuff to cause you to be upset, and they're doing stuff that you've done all you can for them, and they're doing stuff. And even if you don't have any relationship with them and they're doing stuff, it's hard for you, it's hard for me to put myself in a position of loss and let the other person have the upper hand. That was the first and hardest thing that I had to do. That was it right there. Because I just ran into people all the time that was doing stuff and saying stuff, and especially people who are sarcastic, and like to say, get them things, because I was great at that. I don't use curse words, but I really could cuss you out in English about 10 different ways before you even knew it. And so this right here, doing stuff like that, that's against this key. That's not going to work. I'm not going to win, and I didn't win. I didn't win when I do that stuff. But when I started practicing this key, I saw right before my eyes people turn, and God speak to their heart about what they were doing and what they were saying. I saw some people right before my eyes change and turn. So that is key number one. Be slow to anger, be slow to punish for mistakes and errors yourself. Do not receive offense. Do not receive offense. You have to receive it. When it comes, you have to receive it if you get it. So that's key number one. So we want to make sure that we understand that key. If you have any questions about these keys, let me know, because we're moving on now to key number 2. Go ahead and read this one, Sharon, please. Are you there, Shanti? Are you on mute?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Number 2, be kind. Use kindness as a matter of course in your dealings with people, because there is no unkind response to an act of kindness. Do not boil with envy, thus desiring that someone else has been causing a feeling of discontentment or resentful longing for and aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, achievements, or statute. These resentful emotions are based on perception that what the other person has is better, and it will also cause you to wish that the other lacked it. What a waste of time. Incorrect perceptions often accompany a lack of understanding or misunderstanding. Your opinion of what they have has nothing to do with what you want. You must stay focused and reject the negative energy that these kinds of activities bring.
Okay, so key number 2 is be kind. Do not use sarcasm or smart remarks when you think people deserve it for whatever they're doing. Do not compare yourself to other people with so that's envy. You do not compare yourself to other people, and sometimes it's subtle. That's why I'm going over these 8 keys. So sometimes subtly we do things and we don't realize it. I remember, well, let me just say, I love music. it's not that I love it to listen to it a lot, which I have done, but I have a gift where I can hear it. I have a gift where I can hear any voice in a choir. I can hear the voice distinctly. The same thing with an orchestra or a band. I can hear the first and second sopranos. I can hear the altos and contraltos. I can hear the first and second tenors. I can hear the bass. I can hear all of them. They're singing together, but I can hear them all distinctively, you know. And so while it sounds really beautiful to some people, I'm hearing and understanding the different tones that are coming. And the same thing with an orchestra. I can hear the cellos the same way I can hear the violins and the harps. I can hear the trumpets, and I can hear the keyboard. I can hear all of the instruments that are being played, each and every one of them, the kettle drums. I can hear them distinctively, but I have no musical gifts other than that. I don't even understand why I have that. And so I used to really, really, really want to play. I wanted to play the piano uh, just so I could worship God, because I could, I wanted to connect with that, but I didn't. I couldn't. I don't have that gift. So now I have to make sure that those that have those gifts, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I don't want to have what somebody else has just because they have it. If they have the gift to sing, or if they have the gift to play an instrument or anything like that, I can't, I can't envy that and want to have that because they have it. So I have to content myself with whatever that is, that I have, and for that to be good. I still don't know why I have that gift, and I think it probably has something to do with being an apostle. I haven't figured it out yet, but I do have that gift. So, being kind means you can't be resentful of others, and you can't compare yourself with other people. You can't be concerned with what they have, and so you don't let the enemy weigh you down with these thoughts of, what could have, should have been, what you could have done, even if it's something in the past where you have made a mistake. That was key one. You have to forgive yourself for mistakes and understand that it's over and done with, and it was probably working out for your good anyway. If you hadn't even understood it now, maybe you will later. I know I'm going to know why I have this gift of hearing those sounds like that. I know I'm going to know why, and I'm going to use it when I find out why, but I'm not going to be concerned about it until it becomes something that I have to deal with. So that's key number 2, be kind. Be kind. It's hard to be kind sometimes. It's really hard to be kind, because these things that I'm talking about, these keys that I'm talking about, you have to do them on purpose. You can't let it happen by happen chance, because by happen chance your flesh will speak out. You have to do these on purpose. Okay, so let's go to number 3. Can you read number 3, Sean?
Number 3, you must not be jealous, fearing the loss of someone or something that is attached to or possessed by you or another person. If that thing or person, not a spouse, wants to leave, it is for your good. You may be better off without that person. Do not be jealous, afraid of losing what should be gone from your life, nor of what belongs to someone else anyway. Sometimes people do not celebrate you. The people that do not celebrate you are the ones that you want to win over or keep in your life. But you must let those go, because if they do not celebrate you and if they stay close to you, there is a hindrance that is hidden from you because of their non-support or your vision overtly or covertly.
Okay, so what that means is if you're trying to please a person that doesn't celebrate you, then you have to just let that go. You know, um, you can't continue to fear of losing relationships that don't celebrate you anyway. So maybe they should be gone. So there's no fear in perfect love. So sometimes we don't want to let things go. It may not be a person. It may be something else. It may be a habit or a hobby that's not celebrating you, is taking up too much of your time. And the benefit of it is not necessarily adding to your life, but you could be and should be doing something that's adding to your life all the time. And especially something that God has told you to do, and it is time for you to do that. You should not be weighed down trying to do things and trying to be things for people and with people who are going to talk about you negatively and just make it hard for you to get to where you have to go. So key three, you must not be jealous, fearing the loss of someone or something. Just let it go. Just let it go. That's a subtle thing. It's not the kind of jealousy where that we're accustomed to talking about, but you're trying to hold on to something that's not even benefiting you, but there's something in you that want to hold on to it. There's something in me that want to hold on to it, and some of these keys work together. And so when you going through the keys, you will see where they work together, because you were trying to do something, trying to fix something in your life, or you're stuck somewhere. So you have to let those things go. You have to let those things go. And so that's number 3. Now, so let's go to number 4. Okay, read them one at a time, Sean. What is number 4?
Do not boast oneself or self-display, employing rhetorical embellishments and extolling oneself excessively. Do not be puffed up or boastful or make yourself more important than you really are, thus showing excessive self-esteem. This is an act of rudeness and arrogance.
Okay, so that's number 4. So do not boast about yourself, be not rude and arrogant. So what does that look like? That's a person who has the attitude, I do everything right. I'm always right. That's the kind of person, yep, that was me. That's the kind of person that want always right. They're always right. They're going to argue with you to be right, even if what they're arguing about is not important to anybody. And not the person you're talking to, and not even to you. You're just going to argue until you're right, So you do not, and it's also people who do not like to apologize. That's a different group of people who do not like to apologize. Those are people who are boasting about themselves. And then there are also another group of people that never want to take responsibility for bad or inappropriate things that they do. That's another person who is boasting in themselves. So when we experience that in ourselves, and when we see it in other people, we know that that's one of the keys about boasting in yourself and putting yourself on self-display, extolling yourself excessively. Now, that is not to say that you should not see yourself the way God does, because a lot of us are dealing with low self-esteem, not excessive self-esteem. But we may know somebody, who is dealing with excessive self-esteem. We don't talk much about that. And so how are we dealing with those folk, and how are we dealing with ourselves if that's us? We very seldom talk about excessive self-esteem. We always talk about low self-esteem. So excessive self-esteem is rudeness and arrogance. So if somebody is like that, they have excessive self-esteem. That's key number 4. All right, read number 5, Sean.
Do not be out of order according to the accepted standards of good behavior and good taste, nor act in an inappropriate manner according to the circumstances presented at the moment.
Okay, so this one right here, I don't know which one I'm not guilty of. So for all of them, but this one right here is subtle, because when we think it's appropriate to act ugly and act up when folks do wrong in retail. And when we're dealing with customer service people, and when we're in stores, we do not take the time to be kind to people. And we were trying to make our point about what they have done and what they have not done. And we just really act inappropriately. Inappropriately. This is not just people who are aggressive and act inappropriately. It's when we act inappropriately depending on the circumstance. So that's one of the keys. Do not act inappropriately. Do not behave badly. You know, do not get angry when you're shopping because they had the price wrong, or the waiter or the waitress in the restaurant had a bad attitude. And you know, just say things to people to let them know, you know, yeah, you deserve this. You deserve this. So I call that customer rage. You know, when we're gonna go off on people, and when we're dealing with in commercial environments like that, whether it's retail or whether it's a service in industry or something like that, that's angry we get when people do wrong and they act wrong. Customer rage. So that's key number 5. We have to think about the things that we do that really does not employ love to get the results that we need to get. You know, and so that's key number 5. Okay, go ahead and read number 6, Sharon.
Number 6, do not insist on your own rights or your own way. For love is not self-seeking, it is not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of the evil done to it, nor does love pay any attention to a suffered wrong.
Okay, so number 6 is do not insist on your own rights. How does that happen subtly to us? Well, this is how that happens. You know, we always say, well, you know, you're very selfish. It's the I, the me, the my. Those are the ones that we focus on, but we don't focus on some of the other things that we give attention to and don't give attention to. When we focus only on ourselves, we focus on when we're dealing with a family group or something like that and putting together family reunions or anything like that. Are we focused on what we like to do, how we like to do stuff, what we like to eat? Don't check with anybody to find out, you know, if we can do something that other people like. Where we like to go is what we want to do. You know, if we like to go this place or we like to go that place, then we will pick that out. And one of the greatest things that I can think of is when we're purchasing gifts for people. You know, when we purchase gifts for people, it's very seldom do we pay, especially family members. All we have to do is pay attention to them, and we can see what they like by what they buy, about what they say, about how they act when they get certain things. You know, if we pay attention to them, we will know what they like. But most of the time when we're buying gifts for people, we buy what we like because we think that they're going to like that. And, you know, we don't want to ask them because we want them to be surprised. I don't like surprises myself. I accept them, but I don't try to surprise people. You know, if I think I know what you like, I'll buy that. If I don't think I know what you like, then that's what I used to do all the time. Buy people what I thought I liked, and you know, it took me years to figure out that people didn't like the stuff. I mean, years and years. I kept buying stuff that I like, and I thought I was doing something really great and wonderful. And then years later, they'll tell me, you know what? I really didn't like that. I'm saying you didn't. I had no idea because I thought they liked what I liked. And so I was considering myself and not them. And I'm using these examples so that we can see how we're now operating in these keys because we have never tried to address them in this way. You know, we have information, but we've never tried to address them this way. So now I don't do that anymore. If I don't know the person well, I will give them some money. I am great for doing that now. That's what you're going to get if I don't know you well, and I don't, you know, and I don't want to tell you that I'm giving you a gift. You will get money because you can buy what you want, and I will be free from trying to pick out what I like. And then you put it on the shelf and never use it again, or you throw it in the trash, or you just keep it around because I gave it to you, you know, collecting dust. Yeah. So do not insist on your own rights, your own ways. You know, that's number 6. Okay, let's go on to number 7. Number 7.
Number 7, do not rejoice at injustice or unrighteousness, but rejoice when things are right and when truth triumphs.
Okay. So, what practically, how does this practically manifest? What does this look like other than a religious explanation of unrighteousness and truth? Yeah, we know that truth is the only truth there is of Jesus Christ. And so how do we do this? How do we apply this key to our everyday life? Well, one of the things that we do, and we do, and I've done this one too. We, for instance, if we have family members and they do something wrong, and they do something wrong, it's just evil. It's wrong. If it's not the word of God, it's wrong and it's evil. If we have family members that do something wrong, many times what we do is try to justify what they did. Because, you know, we don't want people to talk about our family. We don't want to talk about our family. We don't want to admit that, hey, this thing right here, it is wrong. It needs to be corrected. You know, I am not going to stop loving you because you did something wrong or because you made a different decision. But I'm not going to try to pretend like you didn't do it. I know you did it, you know. So that's one of the things. That's one of the things. And then another thing, have you ever felt really good about putting people in their place? You know, uh, um, doing to them what they did, or you feel really glad when they get the crop come in, and then you or I say something like, you know, well, maybe now they'll know what it feels like to do that to people, and maybe now they'll stop doing it, and maybe now da 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 da. Okay, so that is rejoicing in evil. Because when it comes to, you know, our sisters and brothers in Christ When they're sad, we're supposed to be sad. When they're happy, we're supposed to be happy. You know, and when they're angry, we're supposed to understand that they're doing something that looks like an enemy and feels like an enemy. It is an enemy. So that if they're doing something like that, even if they're family members, we're supposed to love them, forgive them, and do something good to them. So that is what we're supposed to do. And that's key number 7. Do not rejoice in evil. You know, when we see people getting their comeuppance, we don't rejoice in that. And we don't justify evil. Because when we justify evil, we actually are rejoicing in it. Okay. Number 8, Sean, read number 8.
Number 8, do not be afraid of anything or anybody that comes along, because there is no fear in love. But perfect love casts out fear, because fear has torment. A person that does not fear is mature in love, because they are able to tolerate anything and everything that shows up and is ready to believe the best of every person. There's hope. Their hopes are faithless under all circumstances and conditions, and they are able to withstand everything without wearying.
Okay. So, number 8, do not operate in fear, for there is no fear in perfect love. Now, practically, how are we doing this? And what I'm doing is showing examples of how we are doing or not doing this based on natural things that we do every day, because we're positioning ourselves to win battles. That's what these keys are about. Positioning ourselves to win. And if we don't follow these keys, we're positioning ourselves to lose. That we could choose to do that too if we want to, you know, but do not be afraid of anything or anybody, because there's no fear in perfect love. And so number 8 is saying, do not operate in fear, you know, and so when you don't operate in fear, you can do things like finding something good to say about everybody. Now that's a hard question right there. If you don't believe it, try saying something good about a nasty, mean, hurtful person and see what people will do. I would tell you what they would do, because I tell you what they do to me. If I try to say something good about somebody that's doing something bad, boy, they don't receive it. They tell me, well, they knew what they were doing. Well, they da-da-da. They did this. They did that. I shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to. You should do something about that. You don't need to be saying that. Hey, if you try to say something good about a person who is acting up, if you find something good to say about them, you have used this key properly. But let me warn you, when you do that, many people will not receive that because they're not willing to operate in this key. So you can't get weary in well-doing. You can't get weary in looking for the best in every person and hoping for the best for them, in spite of the fact everybody loves to be loved. You hope for the best for everybody, in spite of what they're doing to you. Because this is positioning yourself to win. This is positioning yourself to win. And I have to stop at the next slide because my time is up. I have to do this in 2 parts. These are the key parts. And then I have some other things that go with this that are not the keys, but they do go with this. So I am going to cover that on next week. But these 8 things are what we need to do to position ourselves to win. And it's what Daniel did. It was what Joseph did. And they had to do this. They had to do this. Can you imagine what Joseph was doing when he begged his brothers not to kill him? When they said in front of his face they were going to kill him, he begged them not to kill him, begged them not to do what they did to him. So he had a lot of emotions going on. That Daniel was sitting right there with the people who were planning on putting him in the lion's den and acting like he wasn't even there. He said not a word because he knew that they were planning on putting him in the lion's den. So he was not afraid of the wrong that was being done to him. And he was not afraid of it. He was able to get past that. So let's finish this last one so I can hear from you guys. You got something good to say to help me out? I think I had to deal with all of them. So my prayer is that you don't have to deal with all of them, if any. But if they ever comes up, you'll know what to do. Okay, read this one, Sean.
Love never fails. 1 Corinthians 13:8-9. Love never fails, never fades out or becomes obsolete or comes to an end. As for prophecy, the gifts of interpreting and the divine will and purpose, it will be fulfilled and pass away. As for tongues, they will be destroyed and cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. It will lose its value and be superseded by truth. For our knowledge is fragmentary, incomplete, and imperfect. And our prophecy, our teaching, is fragmentary, incomplete, and imperfect. You cannot win battles with brute force alone. History has proven that with the many wars, locally, nationally, internationally, and world wars, you must have battle strategies, good or bad, whether depending on the strategy, and good or bad, physically, surroundings, depending on your battle plan. In addition, your motives for fighting must be based on love, exemplifying the characteristics that demonstrate love.
Okay, so all of the wars were about people defending themselves or people fighting for a cause, but it was for something that had to do with making things better. Trying to save myself from somebody that's trying to destroy me. And I had to do that with love, or trying to win so that the people can be free of certain things. That has to be done in love. So when we look at the world wars and the world systems, we can see what happened to people who were authoritarian type people, to people who were dictators. We can see what happens to them when they were fighting wars. They would win battles, but they wouldn't win the war because it wasn't based on love. So we will stop right here because we're out of time, and I want to spend a little time hearing from you about how these practical application of these 8 habits, 8 actions, actually, they're keys, can make a difference. They're keys. So Inez, can you share anything that you have learned or you're able to understand how to apply these keys and battles that you have every day?
Yes, I can.
What's happening, Inez?
He has 2 devices on.
Yeah, you have 2 devices on.
Better.
Yeah, you have two on. You can't have a one. You can't have a one. Put one of them on mute.
One on mute.
No, one of them has to have the audio off.
Yeah, yeah, get the audio off of one of them. And you can talk on the other one. You know how to do that, Inez? No, you turn them both off. All right. Maybe I could turn one of them off. You have to unmute it, Inez. I don't hear you.
Okay.
Let me see. Okay. No, that one, no. She has one of them off.
We're going.
Yeah, one of them off.
It's going to still echo until the audio is off.
Oh, the audio, okay.
Okay, now we can hear you. Go ahead. Now we can hear you, Inez. Go
Okay,
ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Still echoing. So when you were doing all of them, and I kind of missed one because I was trying to get my book together to write stuff down, but I did get key two, and it says to be kindness. And I learned to have to use kindness when you are in your relationships, when you meet people, even in the store. But some people, they have bad days, and you understand that everybody don't come to work in good news because things happen to them as they were coming to work or in their lives. So that one showed me that I need kindness when I'm shopping with, and I'm standing in front of someone at the counter and they're counting my money or they're taking in something. And I have to say that all of these hit me a wet end too, because I used to get upset if they just took my money, never looked up at me, and I would say, you know what, you never look up, you don't know who's standing in front of you. But I didn't say it in a way that was more helpful to them, more like criticizing them for not being a person who pay attention when someone is walking in front of them and they're ringing up their money and things like that. Then we just resentful because they didn't recognize me or even say anything, just went to ring the money. I've never looked up. So that one. And number three is be not jealous. Just being jealous or just, I don't know. I think it was jealousy, just being jealous of something or anything or anyone that seemed to have been doing something different than what I was doing. And I've learned different, but those things did apply to me. And number four, do not boast of oneself. Uh, I had a good example, but while I was messing with trying to get my phone off, it went away. So I guess it wasn't for me to say. But not having people who don't arrogant and they don't apologize for nothing they do. They can step on your toe and run into you with the basket in the store. They can just do all. Relatives are good at doing stuff, and we just can't be. I think we can't be mad at them. We have to look beyond all of that and give them the benefit of the doubt. That's what I'm gonna say in that. And not acting unbecoming in certain settings, like you go somewhere and people are showing out and maybe they said something and you just get all upset and start getting loud and saying things. I learned not to do that. I'm working on really hard and not being that way. Self-seeking, being turkey. Now this is the one, 6. self-seeking and be touchy and fretful. And I know people would do stuff in the store, or one of my relatives would do something, I would just be, ooh, fretful and touchy and resentful and all that stuff. And that stuff wears you down. And I realized that as I got older, you know, going on in my 30s and all of that, and even in my 40s, but I learned, now I know better than to let those things bother me, to see the better in people and see that they might be suffering or going something. You know, so I don't think I need to take all your time to do each one, but I did learn that all those things apply to me, and that it's up to me to each one of those keys to work on to do better in my life as I go along. Did you hear me?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. I guess the most recent one that I've done, because I've been working on this a long time. The most recent one I've done is forgiving people in traffic. You know, the people who drive crazy, people, aggressive drivers jumping in front of you and almost causing accidents, and slowing down the line because they don't understand the law of physics, just jumping in the line that's moving faster, and then they slow everybody down. You know, that slows everybody down. Yeah. So, you know, just being glad that there's no accident and nothing like that happened, that you got to where you were going without any problem, and then celebrating God for protecting you instead of fussing about how somebody's driving, you know, and yeah, those kinds of things. Yeah. Okay, Sean, how about you? You have anything to add?
Well, honestly, I heard a lot of what Inez was saying, that she was enlightened by in regards to her experiences, and she's working on those. I can just think of things that I'm encountering right now, and just being reminded of where I'm not allowing to let love work, and feeling like I kind of need to regroup. Like there's something in addition to like fasting, you know, something in addition to the word, the study of the word and prayer, but just fasting, because what I'm finding is there's like a quick reaction as to where I know this is the way I'm supposed to respond. This is how I'm supposed to do it. But then when that opportunity comes lately, it's like a lot of pressure, and I have a quick response that's definitely not of God, and I have to check myself. So, and it could be because of the great pressure, you know, that is happening in this season. But I'm seeing, and I look at it as God showing, okay, well, love is not working there. Love is not existing in that area, and it's the same area that keeps popping up. I'm like, I'm not getting this right. So those 8 bullets, I could see myself still needing improvement in several of them. And I can say that this is a right now word, because I believe they're all being tested in this area of love. We have to have a right heart. And maybe that's just it. God is dealing with our hearts. I mean, I'm just all I can say too is, even while we're doing the teaching and you were going over everything, you just have no idea what's happening here in the background while I'm trying to tread through the class. So it's like, once you hear it though, you're sort of accountable for it, and test of it begins once you hear it. And I believe that that's God wanting us to get it right, so he can take us to the next level. He could put things in our hands and we will have a proper response. And he's just showing me, based off of what you were talking about and teaching tonight, there's some areas you don't have a proper response yet. You got to work on that. And it is apparently people that are very close to you, like you said, like family. Inez was sharing, like family, people that have your heartstrings that really can impact you in a certain way. And I believe that's set up like that because those things need to be touched. So, it's just compelling me to work on those areas because I don't want to hold myself up from getting what God has for me, or wants to put in my hand, or even the people that I may need to minister to, because you have to get it right first with the ones that you are. I think the intimate places where you have to get it right. The people that have your heartstrings, or the intimate things like money, like Inez said, things that are attached to money. Money is an intimate thing. When you go and pay for a service, you want that service that you paid for. If you go to get something to eat, you want the food the way that it should be that you paid for. And if you're not getting the treat, if you're not getting the service right and the food right, it can show some areas in you that are just more important than allowing love to work. So, and I know I said a lot, but I was trying to get to the point of how this teaching affected me. It really turned on some things, let me see some things that I'm still not allowing love to work in those areas. So I thank you for, going over these 8 bullets, Elder C.
Okay, so we're going to finish it up, and the back part of it is really good as well. And I want to just go ahead and say, when I was going through this, it was very difficult because I felt like I was making a sacrifice and nobody else was. I couldn't talk to anybody. I just felt that way. And it took me a long time to be able to talk about it like I do now, because I always felt, hey, what did I do to deserve to have to go through this, And if this is what you have to do to love, then there's something missing. But later on, I talked to people and they had such a change in their life and such a revelation in their life. And they were telling me what an impact that I had in their life. And that was the benefit of love, but I didn't know it, because I was so focused on me. I just didn't know. I didn't know that people would help, that people were changed because of the way that they have been loved. I just didn't know that, but I know it now. And so I'm sharing these practical things where we can see and understand how to do them, and that is important to do. So next week, we're going to finish up this. We did the keys, and then we're going to talk some more about positioning yourself, because it's and how we're going to look at somebody that didn't position themselves so that we can see what that looks like too. So we'll do that on next week. And we're done for the night. So I'm going to say good night to everybody. Let me see if I can Inez. Good night, Inez. Good night, Sean. Inez is still working with her sound, but we heard you, Inez. So we will see you next week. Okay. Good night, Sean.